Hello and welcome to our presentation on palm oil and tropical deforestation and their effects on the environment and our society. Let us first look at where palm oil comes from. The fruits that grow on palm trees is what produces the palm oil that we generally refer to. Each bunch of fruit weighs up to about 50 kilograms, and a palm tree produces a dozen or so bunches each year. Every 10 kilograms of fruit yields about 4 kilograms of palm oil. Palm oil is considered to be very high yielding and serves as an important source of income in Indonesia and Malaysia. While oil palms themselves are not environmentally damaging, as tropical plants, their cultivation requires the clearing of precious tropical rainforests in Southwest Asia. Such practices cause carbon emissions, social conflicts among indigenous people over land claims, and loss of biodiversity leading up to threats of extinction. Our presentation will cover these issues as well as explore a possible solution. Moving on, we can highlight that palm oil production naturally has a negative impact on fauna. For instance, this industry has largely been responsible for habitat destruction, and particularly the habitat of the orangutans. Their natural habitat consists of the Sumatra and the Borneo Islands in Indonesia. Nowadays, palm oil production has destructed more than 11 million hectares of forests in Indonesia. As a result, this situation has pushed the orangutans to abandon their natural habitat for more urban areas, which often leads to a direct confrontation between them and humans. Unfortunately, the orangutans are now listed as an at-risk species due to palm oil production.
It is no secret that our world's primary rainforests function as the lungs of our planet. Rainforests and peat swamps store vastly more carbon above and below the ground than palm plantations. A study from the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies suggests the expansion of palm oil creates massive carbon dioxide emissions. In 2010, land clearing in Kalimantan on the island of Borneo emitted more than 140 million metric tons of carbon dioxide, an amount comparable to the annual emissions of 28 million vehicles. Fossil fuels remain the greatest contributor to climate change, but how much of our planet's pristine forests should be developed into biofuels before we end up worsening the problem remains to be seen.
In an interview with a local Indonesian, the importance of the deteriorating culture is highlighted. The most important thing is not compensation, but recognition of our rights, says Ranik. Companies have a lot of money to offer indigenous communities as compensation, but they're never frank about the impacts of oil palm plantations. These are not just destroying our lands, but also our cultures. It comes as no surprise that the implementation of palm oil production has an effect on local communities. According to sustainablepalmoil.org, these effects include land grabs, loss of livelihoods, social conflict, and forced migration. Land grabs leads to the complications regarding previously agreed upon land ownership amongst the locals. When external powers alter these agreements, social relations are in turn affected. Greasy Palms explains that often village leaders agree to an oil palm plantation on their land without the entire community's agreement with the project. This leads to internal community conflict as well as forced migration. As we know, palm oil production destroys soil as well as pollutes water. This leads to changes in cultivation practices, which in turn affects food insecurity as well as contributes to the deterioration of the culture. A final thing that contributes to social conflicts is the increasing dependency that the locals gain on the plantations when it comes to jobs as well as money for food. This again alters their original way of life.
Palm oil clearly is an issue for the destruction of forests and habitat species. However, some measures have been taken to improve the process by which palm trees are cultivated. The Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil is a multi-stakeholder non-profit organization that works to promote the cultivation and use of sustainable palm oil products through cooperation within the supply chain and open dialogue between its stakeholders. Its 8 principles underline in which the way the Roundtable addresses the challenge posed by palm oil production: protecting the environment, providing a livelihood for smallholders, and meeting the demand of a growing population. While these principles clearly address the key issues, the RSPO could still be improved in its management and its governance. It could give more importance to environmental organizations to have more weight in the decision-making process. Another issue is for the development of a monitoring technique in order to make sure that members are complying with regulations that are put in place. Finally, the RSPO has been criticized for its inability to take a strong stand to prevent forest destruction and protect habitats. To conclude, we have seen that the production of palm oil has many negative impacts at different levels. First, flora and fauna are both affected because of deforestation and habitat destruction. Because of this, many species such as the orangutan are listed as endangered. Moreover, as a result of deforestation, the primary carbon sinks are being removed, thus further contributing to climate change. Not only are we witnessing a massive destruction of pristine forests, we're also affecting the well-being of certain local communities which suffer from land grabs and internal social conflict. However, all these negative consequences are being mitigated through the RSPO, a concrete solution for bringing about sustainability in palm oil production.